Hey guys, Legend Books here. Today we're looking at the brand new high-grade Future Sensory 1:144 scale GF13-017NJ Shining Gundam. Taking a look at the box, we can see a beautiful shot of the Shining Gundam in its super mode and using the Shining Finger attack, and a nice shot of the Shining Gundam versus the Master Gundam. On this side of the box you can see a front and back shot of the Shining Gundam, along with that same shot of from the front, the Shining Gundam versus the Master, along with some story of the Gundam itself, along with some technical specs. You can see that the Shining Gundam is number 127 in the high-grade Century line of models, and I believe number 3 in the high-grade Future Century line. And it sells for about 1,500 Japanese yen, which is converted to about $19.59 US. You can see a nice action pose of the Shining Gundam showing off its incredible maneuverability. It says here that it includes 2 different types of heads. You can see here that you can put it into the super mode. It includes a large Shining Finger hand effect part, the Shining Finger Sword, which has never been included in a Shining Gundam model kit or action figure set. You get 2 beam swords using clear parts, and here you can see that you can put it on an action base and have it face the Master Gundam. Here we have the manual showing the Shining Gundam in its normal mode, professionally lined and painted. And on the inside we have more details on the things that you get, along with the core fighter, how it has special parts underneath different plates to transform to the super mode, how you use the beam sabers and Shining Finger Sword effect part, how to attach all these special effect parts, and the first page of the directions is how to transform it into super mode and is in full color. The next 2 pages are the plates that you get, along with an order form if you're missing anything. 3 pages of directions, as you would expect as usual. And on the back we have a color guide along with some more of those shots, the same ones you see on the box, and that you can use the large Shining Finger effect part on the God Gundam, and I assume that might be for the Sekya Tenkyo Ken. I'm not entirely certain at this point. Here we have another back shot of the Shining Gundam, as well as that same beautiful super mode image we were shown earlier. So here you have the Shining Gundam. It is completely unlined and undetailed. I did apply the stickers, so this will look basically what it looks like out of box. I did do some detail work. I put some gold paint on the Vulcans here on the chest and on the forehead, and I did the face paint, or the face lining. I just sort of figured it was necessary, that way I wouldn't forget it. I didn't use the eye stickers. I used a gold Gundam marker to paint the eyes really shiny, and they reflect really well. I don't know, I used most of the stickers, but I decided I was going to put my own little spin on this one. I am going to paint it later on. So for articulation, we have the shoulders here on a ball joint, in the chest it's on a polycap, and they do swing out, and they can rotate all the way. They can rotate 360 degrees, as you would expect. There's a polycap in the shoulder here, which the arm is separate from the shoulder armor. Move out about this far, and can come down. The elbows are on what seems to be almost 90 degrees. They don't bend that far because the armor's in the way, but it doesn't need to move much farther than that. The wrists are on ball joints, of course, and can rotate and swivel, and the hands really aren't too loose on mine. The polycap in which you put into the wrist has to be facing a specific way in order to be, either tight or not. And I figure since you're going to be doing a lot of, removing of hands to do different things, like if you want to hold the beam sabers, use the fists or the Shining Finger, you're going to have to do a lot of hands forming, I guess. And so that just works to its benefit. The waist, there's a ball joint on the waist and is able to bend back and forward and can rotate about this far. It doesn't need to go much further than that, as the human waist doesn't go much further. This is a mobile fighter, not a mobile suit, and so that the pilot would not be able to bend 360 degrees, unless they're, I guess, part owl, I'm not sure. The waist skirts, the front skirts, are initially put together and you can split them so that they're able to move on ball joints. This one's a little bit loose on mine, but they're able to move forward about this far up. The legs can move at the hip, since this is a very recent high grade. They can go forward about this far, and can go back until they hit the back skirt, which actually is really neat. It is on a polycap and can move back a little bit. So the high grades are definitely catching up to the master grades in that respect. The knee is on 2 joints and move damn near 90 degrees, and that's very impressive, and I was very happy about that. The ankles are on an inside joint here in the shin. They can move back and forward on that joint, as well as a ball joint in the foot. They can rotate 360, and can bend down about this far and bend forward this far. There's no toe joint, but the front half of the foot is separate from the back, and that's part of the transformation. I'll show that later. The head is able to rotate 360 degrees like it really needs to. It can look up about this far and down that far. It's on a double ball joint, but the side skirts are able to move up and down a little bit, and you can bring the legs out about that far until they hit the side skirt. So to cover accessories, the Shining Gundam comes with quite a few of them. One of them is in currently. It's the Shining Finger Hand for the right hand. It does come with two of them. There is a left one. I seem to have misplaced it, unfortunately. The next one is the two set of fists. It has the one on the left and there's the one for the right. It has two open hands, each for each side. It has a separate left side skirt if you choose not to use the one that holds the two beam sabers. It has obviously the large Shining Finger hand, the Shining Finger sword effect part, which if you look closely has the small G Gundam lettering there, and that is seen in the opening scene when the Shining Gundam draws its beam saber in the opening, and it's very nicely detailed. It has some sort of jagged Lee effect parts. It's very nice. The two beam sabers are long and short, and there are two blades, as you would expect, long and short, and they're a very nice, almost clear red instead of pink. They come across pink on the camera, but in person they're almost as close to red as the Shining Gundam's foot there. So to transform it into super mode, they give you a separate head, so you just pop off this one, and it's not too hard to take off. You put on the super mode head, you take off each of the arms, which can be a little tricky. You want to be careful not hurt the polycap. And here you just pop off the shoulder, and there's a gold sticker on the inside. You can choose whether or not you want to use that. I might paint that later. And you just slide it into a top slot. I don't know if it would want to agree with me. There we go. Okay, and then we have the shoulder popped up. And on the arm guards here, there's this little peg, and it swings out. And you have a secondary longer one you put into the hand, or the arm, and that's popped out. Just do that for both sides. For the legs is a little bit trickier. You have to take the calf here and pop it off, and there is a blue sticker that you get for this, which I have used. And there's a small peg here, and there's a slot here, and initially you just put it straight on, but for the super mode transformation you kind of have to angle it a little bit, and it can be a little bit tricky. I have to sort of finagle with it a wee bit. It doesn't always want to agree with you. Yeah, see, it kind of pops off a bit. See if I can get this right. Sort of just angle it there. There. That should stay. Okay, there we go. Next thing is to move the side armor on the feet down. And next you gotta pop off the front of the foot. It's a little tricky. See two little slots here, and there's a peg in the foot here. You just take the peg and put it into the front position, and you have the foot all transformed and the leg. Alright, so here we have the Shining Gundam transformed into its super mode. And you can see it looks quite a bit different than its initial normal mode, and it definitely resembles more of the samurai motif. The Shining Gundam was actually based on the samurai, having two beam sabers on the side of its hips here, which samurai traditionally use a set of daisho, which is a long and short sword on its hip. The helmet resembles a kabuto, which is the samurai's helmet. Has the two main horns, was two offshoots in the back, and an open faceplate. So it's a fitting design for Neo Japan, which is the country it represents, and it's piloted by Domon Kashu. The samurai motif is just the perfect design for Neo Japan, and it definitely mirrors the initial concept for the original Gundam, being based off a samurai class using two swords and being a close combat specialist. Okay, so here you have the Shining Gundam all panel lined, equipped with its two beam sabers. Now the thing about the beam sabers is that they are slightly wider at one point than they are at another. So they're given the illusion that they're sort of flat, and they're also more, they're straight more like sword blades than they are actual beams. So it just kind of gives more support to the fact that the Shining Gundam is based on the Samurai. And I guess for final thoughts, I'm definitely very proud of this. I was super eager to build the Shining Gundam here and to review it for you guys. And you know, I had the Master Grade and I had the very first 1/144th No Grade that came out, and I like the No Grade. It was my first ever Gundam model, and I took real good care of it for quite a few years until we ended up moving and it got lost somewhere in the piles of boxes that we had. The Master Grade was, you know, just a treat to build. It was way ahead of its time in its engineering, having one of the very first inner frames, and the High Grade here just surpassed my expectations. It's a great, fun build. It's, you know, it requires some parts forming in order to go into super mode and to do some of the other things that it, you know, needs to do. But just overall, I'm very impressed. I highly recommend this kit, and it surpassed my expectations. You know, my eagerness that I felt when this was announced was just unmatched. I was just so excited and so ready to get this, and it's just, I don't know, I can't express how excited I am to have it, and how excited I am to review it for you, and how great it was to build it. It's fun. The joints are real smooth. They're not, you know, sticky or anything. And in fact, the construction sort of reminded me a bit of the High Grade Universal Century Zaku 2 that I already reviewed for you guys, in that the legs are built in a similar way, the arms are built in a similar way. There's a lot of bit of similarities between the newer High Grade Universal Century and the High Grade Future Century kits. The joints are as smooth as they are there, as they are in the Shining Gundam. And so, you know, the amount of flexibility is just, I don't know, it's fantastic. I can't say enough good things about this. To rank it, it'd be definitely a 10 out of 10 for me. You know, of course it has some sentimental value as well. It was definitely my favorite Gundam of all time. So I'm kind of biased in the way that I feel towards the Shining Gundam, but I gotta say, as a modeler and as a reviewer, it's something you should definitely pick up and definitely should consider getting. No matter who you are or what series you like the best, if you want a really good kit that functions well and is posable and is just built superbly, then get this. It is definitely something you won't regret doing. So, anyway, I guess that's it for this one. This is Legend Books, and this was the High Grade Future Century Shining Gundam. So if you haven't already, subscribe to me, leave a comment if you'd like, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, depending on how you feel about the review or the model kit, and I will see you guys next time.